And André is a very special, has a very special contribution to us. You have seen our complexity. He is specialized in design thinking, and we know where we want to go. We know what partnership we want to establish, but how to do the design thinking to unify complexity that we've seen here today with tangible means of comprehension of what we do. Society understands things tangible, things measurable, in their social way of perception. You have to work with their kind of cognitive perception, not with ours. How to do that, André?
I think normally the challenge to make happens is put the people together that think different in the different way, but showing this how to do. It's easier to find organizations that saying, I know how to do. But if you don't bring the people that will be impacted by this solution, you can't execute. I think design thinking brings some tips and some methodologies to make this happen together. We need to put Carlos, Embrapa, and university here from Norway together to think about it, to think how you can build something. But it's important to be inside this room, the producers, the heroes producers who really put their hands and make this, the agriculture happen in Brazil, in Norway, in all the world. I think design thinking show us how to do this in this way, and is a little bit of I bring to show you in my presentation. This is the slider. Can you put mine? Okay. Okay. So, Fernando, thanks for enjoying me here, to invite me here to talk about the measure impact. I think this is the biggest challenge I'm hearing about in agriculture market. But just remember that measure is one of steps. After measure, you need to management. And after management, you need to make a good governance. If you don't bring this way together, you cannot reach your goals. So we'll talk a little bit about that challenge in agriculture that we started 2 years ago to study and talk about this with Evaldo and other players like José Osvaldo is a partner in this project together. So starting about Banco, my company, who we are, we start 10 years ago talking in this place of collaborative and creative economy, understanding that you can have the best solution, but if you don't involve all the players together, you can't reach good results with the solution. So it's important to take the data, but so important that you measure and you take these indicators in these data, you need to write a good, great stories. The storytelling matters so much like the technical data. I think Fernando is communication high. Mario, we will talk with together about communications. We use it to hear about that communication is not send one mail. You need to send the message. You need to guarantee that the other part receives the message, this message, and also you need to try to find if the other part understands the message like you. This is communication. Communication is a process, not some point. I think build big, good and great stories communicates better with all people. If you want to talk with producers, rural producers, you need to understand how to communicate with them. You can't communicate with them like you communicate like United Nations. It's different way to communicate. Together with this, we understand impact and innovation like one thing that need to work together. Innovation, we understand innovation like one type of impact. If you found a solution in a science lab in university, but you don't put this in practice, it doesn't make an impact. I think I like the numbers of Carlos. The impact is how all these researches is using your platform. If your platform make the result, but nobody is using, it's not generating impact. This is the way we think. And we made this with a design to create human-centered solutions. We believe that this transformation only will happen through the entrepreneurship. We need to bring the entrepreneurs to talk about this transformation. And we have an alphabet soup. We have a lot of acronyms like SDG, IRIS, GIN, the Global Impact Investing Network. We map in Banco like more than 400 instruments of measure existing in the world. It's not all the instruments. Probably we have more than 2,000 instruments. How we can help companies to understand that? If big companies is saying it's hard to understand that, imagine the small producer. How you can translate this in this language. We translate this with, like I told in the beginning, with methodologies. We have these methodologies to measure the impact and to management this impact. And we have a lot of this, implement a lot of these tools. One tool we developed is how we can draw an impact strategy for organizations, for territories. You can draw this strategy with 7 steps. This is a Banco methodology. You need to map, measure, analyze, improve, understand how I analyze and how I can improve and make good recommendations. And then we need to report. Report is not just print the sustainability report and put it on the pocket. You need to communicate. Report is also make this report impact report, but also come to Norway to talk about that. When you communicate, you generate impact. And after report, you need to manage, you need to understand how you can measure this in our routine in industry or in companies or in territories or government. And then structure. Structure is more closely to governance, how we can draw committees, accessing certifications. This is looking how I can structure my company or my organization to be well structured for impact measure. Other tools that we develop is we are looking a lot of companies selecting one of the 17 SDGs. It's not about select one. It's about how your company or how your organization or how your project is impacting in all 17 SDGs. When you look for that, you can put the greater, this greater SDGs can evidence the potentialization of your strengths. But although smaller SDGs could be one opportunity that you're not looking for. And if you want to be a better organization, a better strategy, you need to improve things that probably you're not seeing. So just look for some. It's easy to talk that a university impacts in SDG 4 of education. Probably my daughter of 9 years old can say that. But how how a university is working the 17 SDGs. This is one methodology that we developed that looks for the 17 SDGs, but also to the 169 goals that exist inside the SDGs. We use theory of change. That's probably the tool more used to measure impact in the world. But you use this together with logic model and put a little bit of how we understand legacy. What your company is doing for your territory is not just for earning money. It's not, profit is good, and I love profit. But how you can go beyond the profit tanks. For that, we need to look the resources, the objectives, the activities, outputs. Outputs is common for companies. Until here, you can do this in all companies. But how your company is looking for short-term outcomes and the long-term outcomes. This is really the impact when you start to think about that. It's not about how many people in your event. It's how this event finish with another project that will solve this problem after that. And then understand this legacy you're leaving for the territory normally. We have one tool for a checklist, how you can look for the marketing and understand who is the best. It's not just to understand who is the best and focus in them, but how to understand who is needs to be better and it's not doing a better way for sustainable development goals and also for measure impact. Dual matrix, materiality matrix also is a tool very strongly known in impact, but we measure, we make this materiality matrix together with the SDGs. How we can put this material theme together with how it's helping the territory in the SDGs. SROI, the social return on investment, is one tool also used here in London, developed in London, but also used more common for projects that's doing together with the governments in these territories. How we can, probably you just heard about that, like this project, each $1 invested in this project economizes like $10 in the, save $10 in government costs. We make impact reports for companies and organizations, workshops. Community management is very important, and how you can manage this community, understand the organizations, the places, the projects like communities. You can do things better. How we can improve the impact, the measure of impact of researchers in our university. We are talking about that, me and Antonio. You need to understand the researchers like a community. They have some interests. You need to talk with them to understand how to do it. Measure report of index, sustainability index in exchange, stock exchanges. Like Esse, the B3 is a stock exchange from Brazil, but Dow Jones also have your index. And when you look for a lot of companies that is looking for sustainability in different ways, different markets, that we just make some projects, we start to understand, asking how to act in a sectorial manner. It's not to talk about one company. It's how I talk about the product, how about the territory. When you look for a territory, you need to look for a group of players. It's not for just one player how we're doing this strategy. This type of strategy is so long more difficult, harder. Like is very different. You look for a strategy for a municipality, for a city, then you look for its impact of one company. For one company, it's easier, so much easier, because you don't need to understand different interests. So when you start to look to agriculture, it's fundamental to the global economy. I think this is, we all believe in that. I bring some data to take a look in that. 27% of the job creation of the world workforce is in agriculture, is a big number. 8% of this consumed globally comes from small families, farmers, and we have 70% of the water used in the world in agriculture, saying the fresh water. 20% could be saved just by tools that we just know, just use a long time ago. How we can do that happens. Preservation of biodiversity. When you talk about agroecological and agroforestry, we can save 20 or 30%, like Gas said for us here before. Emissions sequester up to 3 billion tons of CO2. There's a lot of data. When you look to Brazil, it's quite the same. You have 77% the production comes from small productions. Technical assistance, only 20% of the producers have access to information, to ask for help. It's hard to think about that. We think the data is disponible. It's not at all. Education and training, 30%. Technology innovation, only about 25% of these small producers use any type of modern methodologies of cultivation techniques. So when you look to these numbers, it's easy to understand that we have positive and negative impact. I like to talk that every act we do, any act we do, generates impact, positive and negative. If you understand that and open to deep more in this understanding, you also can mitigate or reduce the negative impacts and also promoting more positive impacts. Let's take it, but we know, but we don't measure that. We just know how with this positive impact in agriculture, like productivity, food security. It's easy to hear about food security in agro and how agro developments in the past achieves better numbers, much better numbers than 20 years ago, like this. Job creation, innovation and technological development. But we also know the negatives. It's easier you go to an agro event in Brazil, an agriculture event in Brazil, and hear about the deforestation, biodiversity loss, the greenhouse gas emissions, the pesticide, and the relation between pesticide and human health. It's easier to find some researches about that, some people talking about that. And when we start to understand and put this both together, understand that everybody generates positive and negative impact, it's easier to take the alliance out and deep in the information and build solutions for that. The solutions also exist in another market, just use the solutions. When you look to SDGs, SDGs is a solution. You can like or you can don't like that, but nobody made better put together 193 countries to think together what's the global goals. This was made. How we can use this information to promote. We can draw the agro SDGs if you want it, but we need to do something with this information. This information is very important. Government policies, Brazil is one reference in government policies. Syntropical agriculture, that we talked before, use of inputs and biologicals, we're talking this a lot in Brazil. Brazil is one of the countries that most grow in use of biologicals and bio-inputs in agro. And bio-inputs is strictly impact, directly. Is one thing that you put in a farm and generate impact, positive impact. Sustainable certifications. In Brazil, you also know the solutions, just use in another markets, and we are referencing biodiversity and natural resource. We made agro better. Pioneer in tropical agriculture. Brazil is every year is growing faster in this way to invest more in tropical agriculture, in syntropic agriculture also, technology innovation. And put together all these players, large companies together with organizations, together with government, together with startups, together with the producers, local producers, rural products, small companies, research centers, universities, how we can put this all players together to think about impact. So the adoption of sustainable practices combined with the use of technology innovation can not only transform these challenges into opportunities, but also promote a more balanced and prosperous future for the sector and society. And how we can do this together, I think this is what is discussing in future forum here. The path to sustainable agriculture lies in the integration of these innovative practices and the conscious management of natural resource. We need to combine these both. I look a lot of companies looking for one. Company want profit, and we look just for one because this one give more profit. The paper of the government and the forums like that is just to equilibrate that. What's the organizations we need to start now to help Brazil and the world to achieve these goals? Now it's turn of Agro, and to do that, Banco, I think a lot of people here understand that the solution is start a new science. It's a business-oriented science. We need to start this, how we can take this science that is found in the solutions and scale them, building new SpectraX in the future. We need to build more solutions, business-oriented. I also like to say that you have only two ways to make the wins a long way in the future. The first one is building a good public policies. If you good public policy and implement them, you can achieve the real positive impact. The other way, most used in the world, is business modeling. You need to find a solution and understand how you can build a business model in this. Because if you build it, this business will sell, and every time this business sell, you generate more impact. Every time SpectraX sell, one player is generating more impact. Understand the problems that this company is generating. And the differentials to think in a planning business-oriented is you can make a facilitation. These players normally don't talk between them, need a facilitation. Government have this paper, but I think some organizations like Futuro Fórum also have this goal. Researchers, we need to make researchers accountability results. The data is disponible, like we saw today. How we can use this data better than to think in positive way. Curation to bring the better people to talk about the convocation. I can know Mario, but how I can convocate Mario to come to Norway, your time to discuss an important thing. We need to have the storytelling well drawn. And complexity. You need to have the ability to work in the one place with complexity. We just start to do that. We made this year 2 workshops, one in São Paulo University in Exalc, talking about specifically the biologicals and bioinput problems. And then we made a second in Rio Verde, is a good center in Brazil for rural producers. Choosing to be part of this transformation movement is not just a strategy decision, like some companies think in this, but a responsibility towards the future of the planet and the future of generations. And we can choose if we're in, or we can, if we want, we can left this behind. I believe the companies and organizations that left it behind do not exist in the next 20 years. Thank you for.
Well, that presentation was the best definition of what Dominique Walton meant when he produced this sentence. He's a sociologist he's director of National Institute of Research of France. And he says, communicate is not to informate, is to negotiate. That's it. All the paths of negotiation we have to do to get there. And that's why it's complex, and that's why we're here. Thank you very much, André.
Thank you, Fernando.